Hi, my name's Grace and I'm here with Erin and Nora, and this is our podcast, One Mind. So let's get into it. What if our biggest problem in the modern world isn't technology, misinformation, or even politics, but the fact that we have stopped thinking for ourselves? Martin Heidegger once said the most thought-provoking thing in our thought-provoking time is that we are still not thinking, and today that feels more relevant than ever. Heidegger, a philosopher who spent his entire life asking one deceptively simple question: what does it really mean to exist? In his work, especially Being in Time and What is Called Thinking, Heidegger argues that most of us don't actually think as independently as we believe. Instead, we fall into what he calls Das Man, or the they, a way of living where our opinions, reactions and beliefs are shaped by the world around us rather than genuine reflection. We don't just form ideas, we inherit them. Research into social media shows that we now have access to unprecedented amount of information, but instead of broadening our perspectives, it often narrows them. Platforms designed for entertainment and engagement feed us content we already agree with, so creating what we call echo chambers. These are environments where we only hear opinions that reinforce our own. We stopped thinking. Heidegger's warning starts to feel less like an abstract philosophy and more like a diagnosis of modern life. If our beliefs are constantly being reinforced by algorithms, by online communities, and by groups we identify with, then how much of what we think is actually our own? In this episode, we'll explore how echo chambers on social media bring Heidegger's idea to life, showing that in time, overflowing with information, genuine thinking might be disappearing. So the question is, are we really thinking, or just repeating what we've shown? First, I'm going to hand over to Erin, who's going to dive deeper into Heidegger's philosophies and relate it to modern-day world, specifically to right-wing politics in America and Trump's reign. Over to you, Erin.
Martin Heidegger was a German philosopher who specialized in ontology, the philosophical study of being, specifically asking the meaning of what it means to exist. Technology and thinking were important elements of his work, especially highlighted primarily in a series of lectures later turned into a book titled What is Thinking, and also his book titled Being in Time, along with a few select others. In this book, Heidegger discusses all aspects of thinking, including the lack of it in quantity and the depth of the quality. The they and conformity is a theory that Heidegger developed that provides an apt connection to the right-wing Trump administration. Das Man, often referred to as the they or the one, represents the mode of existence where individuals conform to social norms and public opinion rather than being authentic to oneself. In his book, Being in Time, he says, quote, "We take pleasure and enjoy ourselves as they take pleasure. We read, see, and judge about literature and art, and they see and judge. Likewise, we shrink back from the great mass as they shrink back. We find shocking what they find shocking." End quote. Heidegger, in this quote, refers to how people fall into conformity oftentimes without noticing it. We think we are independent thinkers, but actually, according to social norms, and think what has been handed and melded to us, instead of independently evaluating issues, such as politics, which is what we will continue to discuss. People often embrace positions that their chosen group decides upon. Trump supporters, as an example, might align with right-wing views on immigration simply because those views are dominant within the group, not because they have examined them deeply. This is they doing the group thinking for you. This theory lends itself well into terms such as echo chambers and groupthink, while proving that the quote has sustenance in our modern society.
Thank you so much, Erin. I hope that was really insightful to all our listeners. Next, I'm going to hand over to Nora, who's going to explore echo chambers and what they really mean and how effective they are in today's society, especially on social media.
Echo chambers are by definition a situation in which people only hear opinions of one type, or opinions that are similar to their own. This is not a new theory, but rather one that has adapted over time. With changes such as new developments in technology, the definition and danger of echo chambers have new meanings. Regarding echo chambers in recent years, the main concern people have is with social media and how lack of in-person communication makes it easier for echo chambers to develop. This also means that echo chambers can increase the odds of false information spreading online, creating a bubble for people to only have intellectual conversations with those who share the same opinion, devoid of if that opinion is true or not. In an article from 2021 which researched the impact and origins of echo chambers on social media, they came to a conclusion. Social media platforms provide direct access to an unprecedented amount of content. Platforms originally designed for user entertainment change the way information spread, meaning that if you're looking for a specific brand of content, that is all you will find. Creating a personal echo chamber for yourself in the opinion you have on the specific content. Relating this back to our quote, this conclusion allows us to believe that people who have created their own echo chambers will not allow themselves to seek out or rather listen to other opinions on the subject, lessening the amount of knowledge and free thinking happening across the world. In terms of right-wing groups, this is obvious, as in recent debates and conversations with other political parties, many right-wing advocates deflect on the opinions they're being asked to talk about, and seemingly would rather argue their point more aggressively than have a conversation on the other party's opinion. In a video released in 2024 by YouTube channel Jubilee, called One Conservative vs 25 Liberal College Students, which features right-wing activist Charlie Kirk, the main criticism was that Kirk was just arguing his point louder every time he got an argument from the other side, showing he was not able to think of anything other than his larger group's opinions. Though a similar vein, groupthink is more of a psychological term introduced by Irving Janis in 1972, through analysis of policy decisions made by US presidents. By definition, groupthink occurs when individuals in cohesive groups fail to consider alternate perspectives because they are motivated to reach a consensus, which typically results in less than desirable decision-making. Meaning, when a group is forced to make a quick decision or surrounded by external factors leading to immense stress, their view is skewed and often leads to less than perfect decision-making. Linking this back to our quote, of the most thought-thinking thing in our thought-provoking time is that we are still not thinking. Groupthink falls into this, is due to outward stressors the cohesive group will not think clearly. Realistically, making a wrong decision somewhere in the process. This we can see in recent right-wing agendas, as in many larger right-wing groups, their decisions spurred on by pressure, not evidence.
So, where does this leave us? Heidegger's statement that we are still not thinking might have sounded extreme when he first said it, but when we place it alongside what we now know about social media and echo chambers, it starts to feel less like philosophy and more like a warning we didn't take seriously enough. Because today, thinking isn't just difficult, it's being quietly replaced. We live in a world where information is constant, immediate, and tailored specifically to us, and while that might not seem like a good thing, the research shows something very different. Instead of expanding our understanding, this constant stream of personalised content often traps us in echo chambers, spaces where our beliefs are repeated, reinforced, and rarely challenged. And this is exactly where Heidegger's idea of the they becomes so powerful. Because if our opinions are shaped by what we constantly see, hear, and engage with, then are they really ours? Or are they simply the result of the environments we placed ourselves in? What makes this even more complicated is that it doesn't feel like conformity. It feels like a choice. It feels like we are thinking for ourselves, when in reality, the range of ideas we're exposed to has already been narrowed for us. So, in a sense, we haven't stopped thinking entirely, but the depth, the quality, and the independence of our thinking has completely changed. And that, my friend, is the real issue. Because genuine thinking isn't about having opinions. It's about questioning them. It's about being uncomfortable, engaging with the ideas we disagree with, and actively seeking out our perspectives that challenge our own. But echo chambers make that process less likely, and over time, maybe even less desirable. So Heidegger's message becomes less about criticism and more about responsibility. If we are still not thinking, then the question isn't just why, it's what we're going to do about it. Do we continue to accept the comfort of familiar opinions, or do we step outside of that, even when it's difficult? Because in a world designed to keep us agreeing, scrolling, and staying within our own perspectives, choosing to think independently might actually be one of the hardest and most important things we do. And maybe that's the real takeaway here. Not that thinking has disappeared, but that now it requires effort, awareness, and intentions in ways it never has before. So as you leave this episode, it's worth asking yourself one simple question. Are your thoughts really your own, or are they being thought for you? Thank you so much for listening. This has been One Mind. See you later.